Now, when you were a kid, chances are at one time or another, you parked yourself squarely in front of the TV set with your eyes glued to the cartoons. Mickey Mouse, The Simpsons, Betty Boop, Popeye, Danger Mouse, Blinky Bill the Snorks, Fat Albert. The animated characters can definitely be pretty captivating. But over the last century, you would have noticed some change in cartoons. They're different in style and in content as well. And now there's a myriad of animations for adults, and the kids' ones have changed a bit as well. So here to walk you through this animation evolution is Reza SARKAMARI, a senior lecturer with a focus on animation at SAE in Sydney. Hello, Reza.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Now, lots of talk of new beginnings, so I thought we'd start at the beginning with animation. It started a long time before it hit our TV screens. Where did the idea for animation actually come from?
Well, actually, the earliest example of animation goes back to 5,400 years ago. 5 images printed on a pottery bowl, believe it or not, in Shahr-e-Sukhteh in west of Persia. And of course, we go back to Egyptian murals, cavemen, carving wrestling matches on decoration walls around 4,000 years ago. That's quite fascinating. You skip post-to-post figures and you see the animation coming to life. Then ancient Chinese try to illustrate the impression for movements by a series of animal figures, mostly in running, and that's exactly what I call this phase, impression of movement. Around the year 1580, among the great men of Renaissance was Leonardo da Vinci, as we all know it. He was an artist and inventor, and he was trying to illustrate the proportion. He studied human anatomy, and according to Walt Disney himself, Da Vinci was a pioneer in the animation industry. Of course, we didn't have frame rate back then, so it was just static images one after another. Yet the practice of illustrating movement over time was a solid foundation for today's animation.
But very different these days to the cave painting, that's
Certainly
for sure.
It is.
And then came this persistence of vision. What is that?
Yeah, so back in 17th century, usually, mostly I would say, inventors and engineers were developing tools mainly to entertain, amaze, or even sometimes frighten people. Inventors developed devices to entertain, and that played a very quite an essential role to attract kids. As a matter of fact, that led to an invention of toys as we know today for kids. And the only reason was because many of those devices could have been viewed by the audience of one. That's why they were considered as a toy rather than the device for a, let's say, large-scale entertainment industry. Examples would be, the top of my head, 17th century, the magic lantern. People used to stay in a queue for a very long time to see magic is happening before their eyes, and it was nothing more than a concave mirror in a cylinder. Or 19th century, a French inventor called Paul Roget demonstrated persistent vision with a device called thaumatrope, which in Greek means a wheel of magic, by the way. This was a simple disc with different pictures on both sides. But when the disc is twirled, you don't see separate pictures, but the combined impressions. But in my opinion, the real credit for generating the feel of animation as we know today goes to Joseph Plateau. For inventing a phenakestoscope. We talk about early devices to create animation. We always, I'm sure you've come across a cylinder, a small cylinder with, a series of images drawn in progressive position. Mm. When you spin the cylinder, those static figures appear to move. And that was basically a trigger for people to look at it from a different perspective. Then in 1880, Charles Reynolds invented his own interpretation of the technology. And he was the he was a cartoonist. For the very first time, he wasn't a scientist or engineer. He was a cartoonist, and he basically created a device called a theater optic, and that was the first short animation in the history. It was a 15-minute product called Poor Pete, and an interesting fact about this is 500,000 people attended at the screening that evening.
Wow.
Which was quite fascinating.
That's huge.
Yes, it is.
And I love that, even originally these were made for magic and entertainment, the beginning of animation, and it's still being used for that today, and it still has that magical element, especially for children, where these, moving pictures are on the TV and they're drawings, but they're moving. It's crazy.
True.
Now, I know Winsor McCay created, I guess, what was really the very first cartoon star. Can you tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, he was a genius. He was, again, a cartoonist, which inspired many, many animators, not only in animation domain, but also in compositing domain. He did all sorts of inventions. To begin with, he started with the rice paper. The good thing about rice paper is it doesn't absorb ink. So if you put your pen on a paper for 15 minutes, it's not going to make a big mess. It's still a simple dot. So that gave him more flexibility to draw. Also, rice paper is translucent, so he could kind of trace back his animation to see before previous frames, and he could kind of tweak the animation in a very professional way. He used cross marks around four corners. He called it registration marks. So that introduced a new concept which you could kind of reduce jitteriness. And he created Gertie the dinosaur based on his own techniques. He kind of wrote the lines for the story. He directed the story. He produced the story, and it was a huge success. You could see for the very first time in history, live action footage and animation are coming together in one picture. So basically, the animation is people in a room are watching on a screen, and that what is playing on the screen is an animation. Gertie is a dinosaur, and he's kind of playing tricks. And it was fascinating. It was fascinating to many people, and the good thing was Winsor McCay was quite inspired. He wanted to continue, but unfortunately, it wasn't profitable at that time. He abandoned the sequel because he couldn't afford, buying thousands and thousands of rice paper sheets. So he kind of abandoned the technology, but the technique, the implementation inspired J.R. Bray, which he established. He looked at Winsor and he established Bray production based on Winsor McCoy's technique, and he established perhaps one of the first studios entirely devoted to animation. That was Winsor McCay's dream come true, but later on he used Winsor McCay's opinion to basically to head towards the right direction, and made a huge profit and success.
Well, Winsor McCay, of course, that was Gertie the dinosaur was in the silent era, so I'd love to play you some audio from it, but it would just be a whole bunch of silence. But I did want to play you this one. Steven Spielberg receiving the prestigious Winsor McCay Award.
To have Winsor McCay's name on this achievement award is incredible. I have been a lifelong fan of his, and even did an homage to him in Jurassic Park. When we did the Mr. DNA animated sequence, the dinosaur, the Brontosaurus, walking away from camera was a little bit of a tribute to Winsor McCay. And I've loved animation all my life. As I've said many, many times, the early Walt Disney films taught me how to be a storyboard artist when I first got into live action movies. I started Amblimation in the 1980s and had a great time with Don Bluth and that whole gang, with Roger Rabbit later on with Bob Zemeckis. It's just been a great sort of downhill roller coaster ride for me. And then Jeffrey and myself and David Geffen, we started DreamWorks Animation in 1994, 1995. So I feel very much a part of you. I feel very much like I'm a part of this group, and therefore this honor really fills me up so deeply. Thank you all very, very much.
That is Steven Spielberg receiving the prestigious Winsor McKay Award on ABC Local Radio. We are talking about animation. I'd love to know what your favourite animation or cartoon is. On Facebook, on the Rhianna Patrick Facebook page, Gavin has said Attack on Titan has brilliant animation, storyline and character development. And Samuel also says all time it's Futurama, and currently loving Archer and BoJack Horseman. And we are speaking with Reza Sarkamari, a senior lecturer with a focus on animation at SAE Sydney, to let us know a bit of the history of animation and what has happened along the way. Do you know, is it true if Walt Disney actually modelled one of his characters on Felix the cat?
Speaking of Walt Disney, actually, Walt Disney didn't have any intention to get into the industry business, to animation industry. The only selling factor for Walt Disney was to see the success of Bray production. He was actually, he teamed up with Fred Herman. He was a cartoonist and the brother of Hugh Herman. And Fred and Hugh started producing an animated short film called Looney Tunes, which was quite famous back then, back in golden age of animation. But Walt Disney, the selling point that Walt Disney saw in Bray production was, because he was an entrepreneur and he was an artist as well, he brought, he kind of inspired by many animations, not just one. And for the very first time, he ended the silent era single-handedly. So up to that moment, music had been a major part of any animation industry, because simply all of them were silent. But for the first time in 1928, Walt Disney brought sound to the motion picture and introduced the new chapter in animation industry.
And that was Steamboat Willie. Here is a little bit of the audio from that cartoon. Steamboat Willie there, a little bit of that one from about 1928.
That's
that
right.
One. Reza, they used a click track for that one as well, and I think they called it Mickey Mousing for a while, that technique. Why did they use a click track?
Well, I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. It's a very difficult question. But that was the first, Samba Willie was the... I would say Mickey Mouse single-handedly rescued Disney from bankruptcy, and everything took off after that moment. And Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse got really famous after that. Samba Willie was quite successful, and that led to another invention for Walt Disney. He introduced Technicolor technology to introduce colors for the very first time. He teamed up with RKO Studio, if I'm not wrong, I think it was RKO Studio, to invent a new generation of cameras called multiplane cameras. I don't want to get to technical details, but he won an Oscar basically for that. And after that, of course, many more characters such as Goofy or Donald Duck or Woody Woodpecker and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, big changes as soon as Mickey Mouse entered, and he's still, I think, one of the most famous cartoon characters in the world.
Definitely is, yes.
So originally these were quite short, these animations. When and why did animation going from being these very short form films to feature length?
The success of Disney products actually led Disney to take a huge risk. He put together a great team. He called it 9 old men, 9 animation legends. Actually, they were the actual inspiration for me to get into animation industry. But artists, I should say, geniuses like Frank Thomas or Les Clark, Ollie Johnson. They got together as a team, and I think it's in 1937 they produced Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was the first American feature-length animated film. It was a huge game changer in animation industry, and kind of established that industry and made it quite profitable, to be honest with you. But of course, by 1960, the medium of television was beginning to gain more popularity.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a listen to that trailer from that original Snow White film.
Hi-ho, 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 it's home from work we go.
Once again, for your entire family, the lyrical, light-hearted entertainment of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Magic milk on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow.
Snow White.
Someday my prince will come. Someday we'll meet again. And away to his castle go.
Featuring those beguiling Disney characters loved by everyone. And of course, this is Grumpy.
Mush.
Here's Doc.
Why, yeah.
And Bashful.
Oh.
Sleepy.
Hard to guess.
And this must be Sneezy. Happy?
That's me, and this is Dopey. He don't talk none.
You mean he can't?
He don't know. He never tried.
Then, too, there's the terrible witch.
Have a bite.
Here's a happy treat of fun and musical fantasy that lasts forever. Enjoy this delightful experience in happiness. See Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
The original trailer there. And Reza, as you mentioned, a huge risk for Disney going with the feature film. And the content and the storyline was quite different to anything he'd done before as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it certainly was, yes. And you could see the change from that point onward. You could see the maturity that was happening to every single product. But what fascinates me is that Disney 9 old men, they kind of stayed right to the end. They established 12 principles of animation, which we all use today. They're not rules, they're guidelines to get a more appealing animation in the fastest time possible, and they still work. And it's amazing what happened, and it kind of revolutionized the industry.
We are talking about change tonight, and this hour we are looking at the changes in animation over the last century or so and all of the different types of animation that have turned up. We're talking to Reza SARKAMARI, a senior lecturer with a focus on animation at SAE Sydney, and we've gone through the movies, so now it's time to talk TV. Now, Reza, for so many of us, animation wasn't one of those things that we just went to the movies to see. It was also on our TV screens every morning or afternoon. When did that start?
Well, as I mentioned, in around 1960, the medium of television was beginning to gain more popularity. And of course, 19th century, this decade, saw some creative sparks in theatrical film medium, mainly thanks to Pink Panther, one of my favorite characters of all time.
I love Pink Panther. My first toy ever was a Pink Panther toy when I was a baby. Don't know what that says about my parents, but
yeah, so am I. Sounds embarrassing, but but to tell you the truth, sadly, people didn't go to movies as much, and families simply prefer to stay home and watch television. So around 1960, the television era started to shine, and it's impossible to talk about television era and not to talk about Hanna-Barbera, which had a huge impact on this era.
Why is it that they had such a big impact?
Yeah, well, HB Enterprise, Hanna-Barbera, they were the American animation studios, and they kind of dominated television for nearly 3 decades and made cartoons exclusively for television. The studio, founded by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, hence Hanna-Barbera, but the animations they created, it was so stunning and charming creatures, or characters, I should say, like Tom and Jerry and Flintstones and Yogi Bear and Smurfs, and they all came out of, they were a child of Hanna-Barbera studio. They won 7 Academy Award and 8 Emmy Award, and I believe a Golden Globe, and of course Hollywood Walk of Fame for their efforts. The thing is, the selling point was their aim was to find a place between families, so basically anyone with any age can enjoy watching cartoons and have a good laugh at home, to bring the family together, and it was much easier for the family to stay home and to be together and to have a chat and have a good laugh and watch a cartoon. So it was a cartoon for kind of everyone, not just for the kids, and that's where it all began, to have something for adults as well. Honorable mention, of course, we need to mention Disney and the creation of Disneyland around 1954, and of course Looney Tune cartoons founded by Warner Bros. Studios. They all played a part, and they all help cartoons to find its place among mid-level families, and in a nutshell, it was a fun time for everyone.
And good that a lot of them were about families as well.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. They're the modern Stone Age family. From the town of Bedrock, they're a page right out of his story. Let's ride with the family down the street, through the courtesy of Fred to Pete. When you're with the Flintstones, have a yabba-dabba-doo time, a dabba-doo time, we'll have a gay old time.
Nice going, driver, just in time for the flight to Texarock. Come on, Wilma, step on it, Rubbles!
Isn't it exciting, Pebbles? You're going to visit Uncle Tex on his ranch.
Go, Uncle Tex.
Uncle Tess. Oh, he'll love her. Maybe enough to give her a few shares of oil stock.
Oh, yeah, Fred. There's nothing like a rich uncle. Maybe if I'm real sweet, Uncle Tex will adopt me.
Now stop it, Barney. Just be thankful we were invited along with Fred and Wilma.
Look at that Bam Bam. He won't make a move without his barbell. Oh, okay, Bam Bam. That's enough. Drop it.
She's ready.
She's ready. I got it.
I got it.
Call the doctor, Fred.
The doctor. Yeah, the doctor.
No, Barney. You grab the suitcase. I'll call it. Hello, Dr. Rockpile. This is Fred Hospital. I'm taking my wife to the Flintstones. Come on, Barney. Let's go.
Isn't that cute, Fred? Look at all those kids.
This is gonna be a party you'll never forget.
Hi, everybody.
Daddy, Barney, come on in.
How's that for a birthday cake, Barn?
Oh, looks like the caterer is right on the ball, Fred. It's a beaut.
Sit next to Pebbles, Bam Bam.
I wish I understood baby talk.
Yeah. Maybe we're missing a good joke.
Okay, Fred, start the party.
Right, sweetheart. All right, let the show begin.
Presenting the Alligators Ragtime Band Plus 2.
Kind of a swinging group for a kid's party. But I guess the caterer knows what he's doing.
Oh! Fred, look! Coming out of the birthday cake. Dancing girls, millions of them.
Uh-oh, the Boulderette. Something's gone wrong.
Boy, oh boy, we never had anything like this when I was a kid.
Hush up, Barney.
That is, of course, the Flintstones bringing families together. But Reza, these days, not all of the cartoons are quite so family friendly, are they?
No, they're not.
I mean, there does seem to be a lot more cartoons that are made really
Sure.
just for adults. You've got Adult Swim and South Park and Ren and Stimpy even. When did we start to see this change from it being a family-friendly or child-based thing to have animation to make it for adults?
Yeah, it all started around 1991. The 90s, that's what I call it, animation renaissance, where we kind of see the transition from classic animation into modern animation. And it wasn't just in animation industry. It all started with Steven Lisberger's concept to bring animation into feature films in 1981. He eventually created Tron, and it was a huge box office success. Then, of course, Spielberg and Zemeckis masterpiece. They produced Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1984, which was a great mix of live action and, animated 2D characters at the same time. And then all these events led to a concept called adult animation. Fox Networks actually picked up a new season for a series called Simpsons. It was just a test run to see if they can kind of achieve something, and they ended up scooping 24 actually Emmy Awards and 26 Annie Awards. It was a huge success, and that led Fox to develop other animated series aimed at adults like Futurama or Family Guy or American Dad. And of course, Cartoon Networks and Adult Swings came after that success of Fox Network. I can name just too many. Rick and Morty, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Harvey Birdman, Perfect Hair Forever, so on and so forth. And they're hugely popular and still ongoing process.
Yeah, and it all kind of began with these ABC Local Radio. I'm Sarah Howells, and we are speaking with Reza SARKAMARI, Senior Lecturer with a focus on animation at SAE Sydney, and we're talking about that very thing, animation. And I mean, The Simpsons must be one of those things. It's one of the most quoted series ever, and the longevity of The Simpsons. Why do you think it's lasted so long and continued to be so popular?
Of course, it relates to the audience, the writers are inspired by day-to-day life, so they look around themselves and they kind of find an idea. It's like light bulb opening up and lighting up, and just they put things into paper and bring them to life.
Well, I mean, obviously the content has changed over the years, but also the way animation looks has changed quite a lot. Computer animation changing the game significantly, and 3D animation. When and how did that first start happening?
Well, a lot happened in early 90s. Around that time, the barrier between animation and special effect was kind of shattered. Films such as Terminator 2 or Jurassic Park made a huge and yet positive impact on computer graphics, to the point that it kind of became second nature and often went unnoticed. It was around 1995 where Disney partnered with Pixar to introduce Toy Story, and that was the first feature film made entirely using computer graphics imagery. The film's success was so great that other studios looked into producing their own CGI movies. DreamWorks, Sony, eventually Walt Disney bought Pixar, and which led to masterpieces like Tangled or Frozen. But in general, computer animated films turned out to be widely popular.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Establish a recon post downstairs.
Code Red, repeat. We are at Code Red. Recon Plan Charlie, execute. Move, 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 move! It's a big one.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a totally new animated motion picture event.
Star Command, come in. Do you read me?
The story of two toys.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Headed for a showdown.
My name is Woody. This is my spot.
I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
You are a child's plaything!
You are a sad, strange little man.
And playing by their own rules.
Draw!
Got me again.
I don't like confrontations!
Buzz, look, an alien!
Where?
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, impressive wingspan. Very good.
Oh, what? What? He can't fly.
Yes, I can.
Can't.
Can.
Can't.
This holiday season, the adventure takes off when toys come to life.
To infinity and beyond!
Toy Story.
Look out! Can.
The first of many huge movies in the world of animation. Now it seems like every second movie is an amazing animated movie. Of course, that one being Toy Story. It definitely changed the game, Reza.
It certainly did, yes.
Has the development of animation been quite different in different countries?
Yes, in my opinion, it is quite different. Not only the technology, but also the implementation. And of course, it's on private sectors, and to be able to deliver the education necessary to help the fans grow, basically, or to help the potential students to grow, and basically that they would be the future animators.
On ABC Local Radio, we are talking about animation and the development of it, but what I'd like to know is what your favourite animation is. So do let us know what your favourite cartoon is. You can find us on Twitter at ABC Local, or you can text 0467 922 612, or give us a call on 1300 800 222. Always love to hear from you. And now, Reza, we've gone right back to the beginning and through the development of animation, but what's happening right now in animation?
Well, I'm looking throughout the years, and I believe animation is going to be more than just a medium to entertain people. You look at big presentations, and interactivity is always part of the presentations. You no longer see fonts, boring, dry fonts on a piece of paper. It's all about interactivity, and animation is inseparable part of every demonstration. But the fact is, it's going to be more than just to entertain people, in addition to supplying entertainments in theater and, of course, at television. Animation has become an essential teaching aid as well, in education, and not even in education, but say in hospitals. That would be a good example. Waiting rooms in hospitals, and animation is used to demonstrate procedures to the patients, and it's moving forward on and on. And it wouldn't be too hard to imagine to see a combination of animations and science. We watch movies like Minority Report, and everything is combined, and every single element is interactive. Of course, for us that would be daydreaming, wishful thinking, but I strongly believe that we are going to witness that one day.
And Reza, I know you're a senior lecturer at SAE in Sydney. What's happening with your students that you see coming through?
Well, actually, we had a group 2 years ago, in 2013, or 14, I should say. The project was Tough Love, and the tagline was almost 30 and still a mess. It cracks me up every time I talk about it. But it was a brainchild of my former student, Brad Dewans, who teamed up with his fellow classmates, Sapphire, Brett, and Kylie, back in 2013 to create this. But it was a comedy series, and I know that Small Town Animation has just raised $6,000 through Kickstarter to put the finishing touches on the pilot. So hopefully that can be pitched to Australian networks, platforms, and providers. But stories like this is just it make my day, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Let's take a listen to just a little bit of that.
What about a boyfriend? Is there a special man in your life?
No, Mindy. No man. No kids. No manicured lawns with a white picket fence.
Just cats.
They can smell desperation.
Pretty okay with being single, thanks.
But last night you said you were miserable.
Oh, that's so sad.
I'm not sad. Yes, I'm single and I don't have kids. Yes, I'm almost 30 and completely broke. And yes, I may be living with self-destructive alcoholics.
Woo!
But that doesn't mean I'm sad.
It just means you look sad.
I think we pushed a button.
Well, it was nice to see you, Trace. Come on, Steve. She's still crazy.
Excuse me?
Uh-oh.
You said crazy? I'm crazy, am I? Is that right?
Oh, there are way too many witnesses here.
Protect the booze.
That is a little scene from Tough Love, and I can't wait to see what the rest of it looks like as well, Reza. Very exciting stuff happening in the world of animation.
Yes, that's true.
Reza, thank you so much for coming in for a chat tonight and filling us in on some of the animation and what's been happening over the years. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. 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 Thank you for having me.